Hello, this is CJ. I'm a trainer here at Karbon K2, and today is our Monday night, Tuesday morning for some of us, weekly meeting. And what I wanted to emphasize today is obviously we're all looking forward to what Kevin has going on and looking forward to seeing that and how that, try that out and how that affects us. But other lab members are doing other things as well. And so I wanted to briefly go over those options. And I will start with myself. I'll share my screen, and some of the lab members make fun of me, but I'm still seeking the holy grail of the indicator or combination of indicators that's going to lead to consistent profits on auto trading. And this is my latest endeavor, the T3 on the 90-minute chart. And when I'm at 25x leverage, 10% of my paper account going in. I'm running this for a little less than a week, and so far so good. I caught some good moves here, and my approach has been to try to catch some bigger moves. A lot of our strategies are scalping oriented, and that's fine. I do scalping in my manual trading anyway, so I like that approach. But I also want to catch some bigger moves. I've heard the frustration in the last couple of years with Karbon members saying that sometimes, a lot of times our indicators don't do that. So I'm trying to find one that does, and a money management that works as well. So this money management goes 6% on a chart for profit. So that's times 25x leverage is 150%, like these four trades here. And then my stop loss is 3% on a chart, or 75%. And my first trade was a loss. These four were in profit. And then these five are still going on. So these may or may not pan out. This, in my back testing, this indicator loses more than it wins, but with the win-loss discrepancy overall, it should be profitable. I have tried a few things like this that looked good on paper and then didn't look so good on live, but I'm gonna give this a couple of weeks to how it plays out, then probably try it on a live account, and I'll keep you guys posted as to my success or lack thereof on this approach. So let's see, when did I start this? Yeah, on the 7th. I'm a day ahead of those of you in the US. So that's what I've got to share. Anybody have any questions about my seeking the Holy Grail? Okay. I'll stop my share then. Tuan is working on something, and then obviously Craig and Troy are as well. So I think Tuan is next. Tuan, are you ready to share, my friend? Let me allow that first. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, I see Tuan is up there. Tuan, are you with us? Okay, there he is.
Okay. You see me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see your
So this
screen.
is something that I want everybody to try. We do all these indicators, all this strategy, but sometimes you just kind of do little independent things just to play around with the Bybit. And we will all own the app on a mobile, something you can set real quickly and just kind of a gamble, $20 to make double or twice the amount. So I know you guys have seen the little spreadsheet here, but I want you guys just to play and get used to this environment of Bybit, right? Because sometimes we need that to get in and get involved, right, with our trades and stuff. And I know that Greg and Troy have educate you guys about how Bybit works and repurchase and all that liquidation price. But this thing is kind of neat because I do future also, and I scalp on the 1 minute, and it's quite unique. But if you know how to get in, when to get in, and usually support and resistance, if you can find them and you can plot them out, you can set this ahead of time. So if you look at the chart of Solanium right here, let's say it's going to go up here and resistant here, and then it's gonna drop. And usually when you draw the resistance here, usually liquidity is usually above that, right? So you can actually move it up a little bit and say, you know what, if it comes up here, I'm going to get in, and I know it's going to drop, right? You do your technical analysis, it's going to drop after that. you set your stop loss up there, okay, for short. So basically, all you do is you go in here and you say, you know what, I'm going to get it 151. Stop loss is going to be 153, just above that. I'm gonna go for $30. So I'm gonna risk 100%. Or you can do $1,000 and do 30 that way as well, right? The same thing. Let's say I want to risk $30 and I want to risk all $30 on my trade. And you have a risk reward here, right? So if I go is 1 to 2 rewards, that means that if you do win, you get $60 out of this whole trade if this goes this way. You plug all this in, and it actually tells you what your leverage will be, right? And you're like, oh my God, 75. That's pretty freaky, right? But it's okay. You only risk 30. You can play this game a little bit. But I want you to understand the support and resistance and how well that could work most of the time, right? And if you do that, it tells you also the take profit. So it has to go from 151 down to 147 for you to have a risk reward 1 to 2. That means you can put $30 when it goes down to 147, $60. So would you be able to gamble that, right? I think you can play this game where, it's a good practice, right? Drawing that support and resistance, and it's kind of predictable sometimes what Solana, how it moves, and you can see the pattern all the time. And a lot of time you see more short most of the time. I know that Greg and Troy has short involved with the money tree, but I do run short on my money tree as well. But I do with a stop loss, and I know Renee is doing as well, a very great success. But I think Greg and Troy will come up with something that will work very well because we do need to make money on the way down as well, right? So how do you protect the short? We got to protect somehow, some way, because it's dangerous, right? Going short. And if it goes against it, it's not going to be good. But I think this game, all you have to do is basically you come in here, you change your short, right? You're in your short, so you got to change this to whatever's here, right? So right now it's 75, right? 75.5. You just change this to 75.5 right here, right? Confirm. And then your price, your order price, you do a limit price, of course, right? You will set that limit price to believe it's 151. You put that one here, 151. And then um, and then the cost is $30, right? That's how much. So you make sure you change this to cost, okay? Order by cost. And then when you do all that, you can also once you click on open short, of course you can set your stop limit as well. Okay, you can close
Tuan,
by.
are you
Yes,
doing market or limit order?
limit order
Oh, you had it on
right here.
market.
Yeah, limit
Oh,
order
no,
right here.
limit.
Yeah,
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 he
it's
okay,
set right there.
sorry.
Yeah,
he moved it over.
I would do limit order, but sometimes I feel like you open the chart and you're like shit. I feel like when it hits to this, it's going to go down. So you can actually jump in and just do a market right away, and then quickly look at the sheet, put your information quickly in, right? Because it's going to move slow. I do it on the one minute of that time frame, just like that. And then you can adjust all that later on. You can set a default leverage. And then once you get all the number, knowing that you are moving in to that entry price, and then quickly decide this real quick and know exactly, and then change your 10x, whatever, right? Start at 5x and change it immediately back to what leverage you want to be right after. If you see something spontaneous, right? And you didn't set it up, you say, you know what? I think it's going to go down after that. Just hit the market price and then go for 5x and then go back in and change really quick. And then I think you can do it that way as well, quickly. But yeah, you set it, and then you can set your stop loss after that, right? You can set your stop loss, your short stop loss. But let me check real quick here. But what I like to do is I execute and I go back in and then stop loss right here, and you can set your stop losses. Take profit at that time and stop loss, right? And when you do that, you see exactly your amount is $60. when you did the take profit. That will show $60, of course, minus the fee. Right? It's going to be maybe 57 or something like that. But it's like 200%, of course, right? When you do that 1 to 2 ratio. But this is something I think it's kind of, just like you want to just do it, and you see it all the time where you just want to risk, you know what? And it's quick money if you do get it correctly. And if you lose $30. But if you get it correctly every time, it's like, hey, this is something that could be very interesting. And that's $30 and within, it only need to go that much, right? Only for what? Four, only need to go 4 down. And then sometimes Solana, man, when they move, when it drop fast, So imagine, so what I do sometimes is when I see it drop, I then take off my take profit right away, right? I don't want to do 1 to 2. I just remove that and then I go and close manually. So I turn off my take profit and I let it ride, and then on your phone, close it whenever you feel like it hit the dip, But yeah, it's quite interesting. I think everybody should try, and do something like this, once a while, But yeah, that's about it. But the spreadsheet is out there, and you can use it and do whatever you want to do. And you do long and short as well. Okay. And that's it.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. I mean, this is pure
Yeah.
manual trading, which
Yeah,
is fine with me. I mean, not all of our members are going to be interested
Once a
in
while.
this, but I think I like what you say. You got to sort of keep your skills or your chops, sharp,
Yeah,
and maybe we get a little
exactly. Yeah.
comfortable
Sometimes we
with our.
forget to go back
Yeah,
to Bybit and forgot how things worked,
yeah.
Been a while. I think it's
I
so.
I like
You
that
And then
could,
emphasis.
with Greg and Troy teaching about liquidation and all this stuff, I think it's going to be really helpful, for them to go in and manipulate.
yeah. This could also be fed through to Karbon and managed from Karbon, once you've set it up.
Right. But it's so
Um,
fast, right? It's only 4 points,
yeah,
I mean,
it's awesome. It's really good.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and
60
I
bucks,
think,
man. $60, 1 to 2 report. It's not bad. It's a good guess if you can guess it correctly. But
well, it just takes some of the, I mean, I've tried similar things to that before, but
yeah,
it's just been a bit off the cuff, whereas this is actually more structured. You've got a stop loss
yes,
in, so you're not going to
yes,
take a big loss.
yeah,
You're defining your loss. It's 30, it's $30 or whatever your loss is going to be,
yeah,
and you're going for a reasonable profit.
yeah.
And I've
I mean,
heard
you
of
can do
people,
1 to 5, 1.5 as well. Of course, it's going to be closer, to
yeah,
148, but you can change all that.
but
You can
I've
even do
heard of
3.
people that trade at 200% leverage.
Yeah,
We can't
yeah,
do
you
that
can
on
do that.
Bybit, but I've heard
Exactly.
people do that, so
Yeah,
um, you know, yeah, we played around with 100%
see?
and 75% X in the past,
Yeah,
but that was more with the ATM, and this I like what you're doing, because I think, it's all about resistance and support lines. And
yeah,
if you can find the resistance and
correct.
you pick your timing right and you pick the direction right, and even if you
Yeah,
don't, the loss isn't too great.
correct.
Um, and you only need a couple of good trades a week to make an income.
Yeah. And I think you can set this ahead of time, right? This can be set ahead of time and walk away from it. And when they get to that, it's just see what
Yeah,
happened.
definitely. You can see it building. You know where your support or your resistance line
Yeah.
is, and
Hmm.
you know where your take profit could be based on that. So yeah, exactly. Interesting.
Thank you.
All right. Cool,
Um,
cool,
I,
cool.
I was just going to say about that to
Yeah.
Tuan, that actually another good thing about what you've just shown as well is that you only have to win 6 times out of 10.
Yeah.
You can win. When you think about it, if you say every 10 times you win 6 and lose 4, you're still up.
Yeah.
So if it's from a complete win loss point of view, so that's a whole different type of thing, which is quite cool actually. A different
Yeah.
type of strategy. I think it's quite cool.
It's a fun. It's a fun. I think we all gamble and go to Las Vegas, gamble a little bit. We do all that. So this is Las Vegas, but we can do that from time to time. It's not. I think it'll be okay.
Totally.
So, man, you only do this on shorts?
No, no. No. Yeah, no. You can do it long. You can change it
You
to
can
long.
do it long.
And,
Okay.
yes,
And
sir.
I got one other question. You were saying something about 4 points before. What do you mean by that? 4 points? It's only 4 points.
Well, from the entry price down to the take profit,
Yeah, $4.
right? Yeah, $4.
Oh,
It
okay.
only need that move to that much. Like I changed the stop loss to one. Let's say back to 153. I mean, you go
Hmm.
in at 75x here, right? It only need to go from here to here to get your win. That's only $4 down.
Okay, I just see your spreadsheet. I don't see your chart.
Oh,
So, but I
oh yeah, yeah,
understand
yeah,
what you're
yeah,
saying now.
yeah. But you can draw
I
your
get what you're
chart any
saying.
which way you want, and then you figure
Hmm.
out, what's best for you, in terms
Right.
of the yeah. And you can do it on the 1 minute. You can do the 5 minute and draw your line and figure out what your entry will be, your stop
Hmm.
loss, and your take profit. But
Okay.
yeah, it's. I think we should put $20 and try it and see how that works. 2 to 1, $40, man. If it goes from 53, 151 to 47, that's $60 right there.
Yeah.
Of course, minus
Spend more than
fees.
that. Spend more than
Yeah,
that on the machines in the bar.
yeah. So
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. The key is to build up profits and not losses.
yeah,
Yeah, amen.
yep, that's right.
Okay, anybody else have any questions for Tuan on this? All right. Craig and Troy, you kids want to go next?
Yeah, definitely. So,
Right. I'll kick
so
Tuan
I just want
off.
to make the emphasis that ours is about automation and trying to find a situation where it doesn't require too much intervention, if any.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're working towards. Okay, so what you're seeing my screen at the moment?
I'm seeing that you're sharing. I'm not seeing any. Okay, there we go. So there's some banter bubbles.
You're seeing banter bubbles. Okay, cool. Here's my thing gone. Okay. Oh, yeah, I just thought I meant to show you this last week, but I thought wouldn't be a bad idea to have a look at this.
Mm-hmm.
And my feeling is that we're in this area here at the moment. And I think you've all seen this before. This is the Wall Street cheat sheet. It's a psychology of the market, of how we go through. And we've been in this down here for quite a long time, coming through. We've had this, we could be here in this disbelief, but I think we've actually come up from that and we're more likely here.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just my reading of it, and over the next few weeks we'll go across here. We're talking about August, September always being slow months, so that sort of ties in with this quite nicely, and hopefully November, December, January is going to be this if we're lucky.
Yeah, I was hoping we had optimism and belief a few months ago, but those didn't quite hold. But I tend to agree with you.
Yeah. So anyway, that's let's just move on from that. So I just want to talk about what the ATM is and probably the MTE, and there seems to be a bit of confusion as to what these things are. So the ATM is an automated trading, we call it an automated trading machine, but what it is a system that just throws alerts at the setup that we've got. There's no charts, no choice, as soon as one trade closes, another one opens. When it was originally devised, it was quite a while ago, we were doing 2 longs and 2 shorts so we're doing Ethereum and Bitcoin, both long and short at the same time. And it was doing quite well until the market changed. It had a good, it was potentially quite good, but then we got this thing called spread, where the shorts got separated from the longs, and it became more and more problematic as time went by. So we sort of dropped it for a long time. And then we came back and Troy manipulated it to do longs only. And so it's designed to do different things, but by telling it that the trade size for shorts is 0, and by putting I think we have to put 2 longs and 2 shorts in the settings and 4 total trades to make it work. That's why it's that historic legacy. That is why we have to do that. And sometimes it's a bit tricky to start, but it is just a way to enter trades into the system. Okay. So the ATM versus alerts. Well, throwing alerts at the system can work just as well as many that were doing it before they had access to the ATM. Alerts work well. The difference, what's the difference? Well, the ATM will take real advantage of runs. So if you get a run up, the ATM will take a trade, close it, take another trade, close it, take another trade, close it. Whereas the alerts will wait for a slightly better market entry. So in some situations, the alerts are way better than the ATM, and others, the ATM is better. So those are just 2 different ways of entering trades. The money tree is a system or a method of using that information to get the most out of what we're doing. So the money tree can work with alerts or the ATM. It's about how you manage the trade once you have it and what you do with your profits. So the ATM is, not the ATM, the money tree is a system that can work on any way that the alerts are configured or thrown at it. So hopefully that clears up the difference between the ATM and the money tree. And the other thing is, why single direction? Now, single direction doesn't mean we don't do shorts. And there seems to be this misconception that the money tree only does longs. The main thing that we want to do with the money tree is only do one direction in an account. If you want to do shorts, you can, but do it in a different account. Don't try and run shorts and longs in the same account. That's the only thing. And the reason mainly for longs at the moment is we're expecting a bull run, and we don't want shorts to get left behind. Although unfortunately we've had so many false starts that you wouldn't have got left behind recently. But that was the logic of not doing shorts. And at some stage when the market gets near the top, we'll need to switch it over, and shorts will be the priority rather than longs. But we don't know yet because we haven't really tested that scenario. But we do know by opening longs, and when it goes against you, opening a waterfall account and then opening another waterfall account, as long as you pick the positions of opening those well, it makes just as much money as trying to do shorts and longs together, or if not more. So the main thing is that Troy and I, after the dumps of the last couple of weeks, have looked at how to make the money tree system safer and have a bigger runway. So this was the original settings, right? And those that have tried it we call them the new settings, but so it was Solana, it was longs only. We could get away with $200 minimum account size. The reason for that was that Solana had a thing that you could only take one Solana as your minimum trade size. And with leverage, that's worked out to be 200 on this scenario. And we were doing a 25% trade size. So at $200, that was a $50 thing. And previous to that, we were doing a 10% trade size. Money management, so it was, stage 1, -5, 100% rebuy. Stage 2, -10, 47% rebuy. And stage 3, -15, 22% rebuy. So that was the setting. And some people got into a little bit of trouble with that in the previous. Oh, and we also use auto margin replenishment. Okay. And that gave us a 22 to 25% runway with 95% of the funds being used. The other 5% could help with the auto margin. Okay. So we looked at the problems, and we had people that were getting liquidated, and they were adding money to their trades, and our original philosophy was let the trade go and, start another one. But people have trouble letting that happen. This scenario gives us a much better outcome. Okay, so we're calling these the new trade settings. Still Solana, still longs. We have to go back to a 300% minimum trade account size with this scenario. We're doing a 12% trade size or a $36 equivalent. So we've dropped the trade size, and it uses 45% of the funds. So this gives us a 45 to 47% runway, which is much larger. And it's using 45% of the funds. So the money management is exactly the same. No changes there. And with the auto replenishment, this goes from 47% runway to about a 97% runway. So if you enter at 150 Solana, you can go down to 75 Solana, which is way, way lower than the market has moved at the moment. Okay, so just looking at the two side by side, these are the differences. So the runway was 200 to 156. It's now 200 to 105. Gives us a lot more movement. The thing is, everything else is still the same. When the market drops down to a support level, open a waterfall account to keep it trading, and you'll have the same results with the waterfall. A little bit more money involved to set it all up, but it's this difference here is the difference. So we've got a larger margin. We've still got a large trade size, so we're still getting good profits. Less need to add funds, almost no need at all, really. It's going to be a real big movement if we have to add funds. There's a lot more safety, so less stress, better night's sleep. And every time you open your waterfall account, you're increasing the runway. Obviously, you're not increasing the runway for the first trade that opened, but you're allowing it to go further and further down. Smaller account balances equals smaller losses. We don't advocate loading these accounts up and making them really big. We of the belief, keep them small and get the profits off the table and secure the profits. all settings obviously are optional, and these are just our recommendations. And others may evolve the settings further. So there are people that are taking our settings and changing them and doing different things with them, and that's really great. Just be careful that we don't always want those other settings to be tagged as the money tree. We've got no problem with people evolving it, but we don't want confusion between what the money tree is and what other people are doing. And I just want to escape out of this, and I can show you a what's this? Hang on, it's down here. Bring it up. So here's an account that's running on those settings. Okay, this is. Why isn't it enlarging? Here we go. Live account. So this is the one here that is on these settings. So I set this up after I liquidated from the last loss. We were sitting down here earlier today. I still have 156 available funds. My liquidation is at 129 before the additional funds are added. So when the additional funds are added, it's about 86. So from our opinion, it's very, very safe. There might be an event once a year that challenges it, but with our back testing, or not so much back testing, but back review of the market, this would have survived the last 12 months, no trouble at all. It still does make quite good profits. You can see here that it still made $100 profit. And if we go, I've got just one more thing to look at. That's this one here. So this is a summary of when I started it and what it's done. So earlier on, between the two big dips, it made 21% on one day and then 7%, and then it's just sort of been in limbo for the last 4 days. But this shows that it can make money, and I've taken $60. Actually, I've taken $86 out of the account and redispersed it. So that pretty much covers it. Any questions?
More of a comment. I've talked before about how systems like this have to ideally make profits first so you can pull them out and get into house money. So it looks like you're well on the way to that. Is that what I'm seeing here on the spreadsheet?
Yeah. Okay. Well, and the thing is that it's got to go a very, very long way for it to liquidate.
Right. I mean, there's a slim chance you have some seriously bad luck and some black swan event hits when you first start this. But short of that, it looks good to me. I like it.
Yeah. I was just going to add to what you're saying, CJ. When I check the market and with these settings, basically the last 18 months, between 12 and 18 months, actually, we would have not had a scenario where we would have had any liquidation during that time, right? Now, of course, as we all know, that's not to say down the track that won't happen, but that would have survived quite a few black swan events. Now, of course, we know in time, however months down the track it will take, that we're going to start topping out with a bull run. We're going to go sideways for a bit. And at that point, I see, switching on shorts, as Craig was saying, shorts as well, and then eventually switching shorts off. I'm also taking into account, we know obviously that we've got a certain amount of automation coming as well. If and when that will happen and how that will actually play out, we don't fully know yet. So this is just playing with what we've got and what we know we can do right now. But it still comes back to the whole thesis of the MTE is accumulation of profit and taking it off, getting onto house money. Now, I do know that in answering your question as well, CJ, is that I started my account in January with the original settings before anybody else, right? But I got lucky because I started just before a bullish January and February run that got me onto house money pretty quickly. So even with liquidations along the way and where I am at now, I'm still ahead, even with funds lost. So that it's actually worked for me on that basis, but I got in at good timing, right? And the whole idea of these settings is that we know that some people might start this up and might have started just a couple of weeks before this big dump we had just in the last week or two, right? And hasn't given them a chance to get ahead yet with the profit, before they can actually, before that may happen. So what I see with these settings is it's a case of still, it's still taking the profit out, but you're going to have far less time if you're ever going to have to add any funds in to protect the accounts at all. And that's the whole idea of it, really. Craig was saying about the small account. Again, everybody will do what they want to do, but I advocate the same thing too. You don't have to start off with too much in one account, each account, get onto house money first and then build it as you go. A lot of people are doing that already, obviously. And as Craig, I'm just repeating what Craig said about the shorts as well. We've never really said not to do shorts. It's just that, as Craig said, it's just been, a scenario where we know at some point the market's supposed to take off. The other thing too, which I think is really important, is the biggest aspect I find with this whole multi-account point of view might be lost on some people, is when we are using multiple accounts, we can, for instance, if you say start opening up a fourth account, we're in a scenario where the market's already moved about 20 to 30%, and you're giving yourself another 50% runway on top of that, right? So portions of your money each time you're opening an account are getting safer and safer. But we're spending a fraction of our money to actually re-enter trades at 20, 30% behind than what we would in the old days. Remember when we used to have all our money in one account? After all our rebuys, with all our money gone, you'd be lucky if you've moved it more than 5-6%, if you know what I mean. So, I mean, I know a lot of you guys already get this, but it might be lost on a few people that we're really, really able to be re-entering. And I hope with this new settings, it will give people the confidence that they're okay when they're needing to open their second, third, and fourth accounts. These are really, really, really big settings here that will give them a lot of rope, a long leeway to be able to do so.
Yeah, that's a good point. Not only will your primary account be safe, but your secondary accounts should be as well. Well, even more so, just like you said. All right.
So what I will do is post this in the Money Tree chat. Now, for those people that are listening that aren't a part of the Money Tree, we actually have a separate chat group for the Money Tree. So there's no restrictions on that. Anyone can join it that wants to. But we're just keeping all the information in the chat about the Money Tree in a separate place. So I will post this chart there. We haven't actually created a money management that you can import yet. We'll do that at some stage, but it's pretty easy to create the configuration based on the information that's here. Everything's here that you need, and it's only 3 stages. It doesn't take long to set up. I'll leave this there, or would it be better if I put this one in, which has got both of them all in one page? Any comments on that?
I screenshotted the new one and did not do the old one, so that's just me.
Yeah, so the new one is what most people would like,
I would
surely.
think so.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll post that and so that it's available to everyone that's working in the money tree. And if you don't have access to the money tree, then just send me a message and I'll add you. Or I think the link might be pinned in the main K2 chat anyway. Or support can add you, send you the link. So it's not that we're trying to be exclusive. It's just that we're trying to keep the information separate.
I just sorry, just wanted to add one last thing too. If you can go to the next slide, Craig. Most of you guys probably get this, but I've just wanted to re-emphasize what Craig was saying. To do with these settings that you're seeing on either side of the boxes here, when we talk about entry, we're talking about if you say went in with Sol when it priced at 200. So that's not a dollar amount that you're putting in the trade or anything like that. That's the market price. An example of the market price is Solana. So with our original settings, if you went in it when it was priced at 200, it would give us down to 156 before all our funds would be used. Whereas with the new settings, that would give us nearly 50%, all the way down to close to 100. Most of you probably got that, but I just thought I would just re-emphasize it anyway.
Yeah, it's much safer. Okay, any other questions for Craig and Troy before we wrap it up?
Yeah, quick question. So let's say someone is using the original one, 25 trade size, right? For them to have the same runway as the one at 12% trade size, everything equal except the balance. I think I did some calculation. You probably have to add $144 if you want to have the same runway at the 12% trade size. You understand what I'm saying? So let's say they want to do this. You can calculate. You can add fund. That means you have about $144 on the side. If you want to have the same runway as the 12% trade size, if they want to do it that way, right? They can do it that way on the $200 balance, and they run it about the same runway, and somehow at the very end they won't be able to make it. They have to add money, and to get the same trades runway, they will have to add about $144 addition to their balance to achieve the same as the second one.
Good point, Tuan. There is lots
they
of
could do
different,
that.
There's lots of different things we can actually do that can and people that over time will probably get an idea, a feel for it, how that can work. And I guess that these default settings are also for catering for people that may not know much about the market, the runway, all that sort of stuff. So it's just this is a set and a forget. What we're trying to do here, as everyone's probably worked out, is automation aside, which we know will make a lot of things even more streamlined, is that this is also a system, as you probably all worked out, was designed as a set. When I say set and forget, it's not forget in the sense, yes, we had to keep an eye on our balances and what the market's been doing lately because it's been crazy, right? But really it's just a scenario where we want a system where you can switch it on, right? Keeping an eye on your balances, yes, but also and then just starting a new account when we need to, and that's it. But we know beyond that people, especially people that have been around for a while, or lab members or likes of ourselves and others, will get really good at being able to change things if they want and how they want it. But we'll always just put default settings for those people that aren't sure about how it works with the market, and just know that they can actually just set it up, start it, and it can work for them.
The reason I say that, not because I know this is for beginners and stuff, just walk away from it and not have to worry. But the majority of us actually do have funds aside. That's just something that you could expect if something like that could happen, and you at least you know how much your money would have on the side just in case if you want to have the same runway. But you're right, this is something for beginners, always for beginners to walk away from.
Or people that are working and just can't
Yeah.
make that transfer at the time that it needs to be done.
Right.
There's a lot of people, we forget because we're immersed in it 100% of the time. Whereas, there are people that are working, they can't stop work. They can't get out of a meeting or just put down the equipment they're using and manipulate their trade. And this is really for those people. It's put it on. It should be perfectly fine. And it would even compound if we could, once we can take a set percentage. If we can set the percentage to 12 or 15% of the funds, then it could compound. But at the moment, we can't. So, those are limitations that we've got to work within at the moment.
Yeah. Of course, the first one with a bigger trade size, it's always more profit, right? So we're always going for that, than the 12%. But you're right, that it's good. It looks good.
Well, it comes back to a comment that JJ made, and I think it was the K2 chat. And he said, that we're always going for too much profit, and we're not.
Yeah.
We're not focusing enough on safety. And he's absolutely right. I'm always chasing the big profit and not keeping, and we stated really clearly when we first launched this program that it was about keeping our money. And, if you lose it, then it doesn't matter how much you make, you lose it. It's better to make less and keep it.
And just on that too, it's about adapting to the market, because when we first started this back at the beginning of the year, we were having market movements that weren't quite as hugely volatile as what we've seen in the last sort of few weeks or months, right? So it's also needing to adapt to what we've just seen in the last few weeks and months. It really, at over 20%, it was still with safety in mind from the beginning. But obviously a lot has changed recently. And it's still about, we're not going back to the original default setting days where we used to just have 1 or 2% trade size, right? Because we know that the idea of this is still to accumulate good profit, to be able to take that off the table, but still have really, really good safety at the same time. Whereas when we were doing 1 or 2%, that we could still get okay profit, but it was probably not enough to actually be able to accumulate enough over time to cope with the market. And so that's still the whole idea of this, really. Accumulate as much as we can within the safety that we've got. And look, as I say, who knows what will happen in the future, but as I say, the last 12 or 18 months, these settings would have, we wouldn't have, would have been okay.
All right. That's a good summary. I think a good place to wrap this up. For those of you with us live, appreciate that. I'll post this recording in a few hours if anyone asks, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.